Oh, hi there. I have to tell you that as a Canadian, it's an important part of my culture to make fun of Americans. So let's start with a joke. On a bus tour, and the tour guide stands up and says, "Oh, does anyone have any jokes they'd like to share?" And a woman in front stands up, "Oh, I do. I've got a joke about Americans." Suddenly a man in the back stands up and says, "Hey, wait, I'm American." And the tour guide says, "It's okay, sir. We'll explain it to you afterwards." Hi everyone, this is Kelsey from BeABetterGuy.com and welcome to our community Q&A. Hopefully we still got some Americans with us. So you're here probably wondering how you can be a little bit more funny on tour or incorporate some humor into tours that you give. Now, being funny is a skill that's great to have if you're a tour guide, but it's really not an easy one to master. So here's what I was thinking of doing today. After doing some research, I found the videos below of a complete tour of the Tower of London. The tour is given by Beefeater Bill, or Bill Callahan. He's a yeoman of the guard and gives this tour at the Tower of London. Now, these videos went a little bit viral a few years back, and collectively they've earned over 1 million views, mostly because he's downright hilarious. He puts on this really tough military demeanor that you wouldn't expect from a tour guide. So if you're looking for a little inspiration, I would highly recommend watching these videos below, but while you're doing it, here's 3 things to consider when you're trying to be funny on tour. Most good jokes state some bitter truth, said scriptwriter Larry Gelbart. And without some fundamental basis in truth, most jokes will tend to fall flat. So a great example from Beefeater's Bill tour is when he's talking about how executioners would mount the heads, severed heads on spikes and put them on London Bridge. And this was a warning to would-be traitors and also served as a form of early bird feeder. So this gets as super gross, but gets a chuckle from people because there is some truth to his joke. Surprise is one of the primary reasons why people laugh, and therefore it's one of the most successful building blocks for a good joke. To paraphrase Gene Parrott, he wrote that comedy is like mentally pulling the rug out from under your audience. But first, you have to fool them. You have to get them to stand on the rug, and if they see you getting ready to pull the rug, then they'll just step off. So, for example, from Bill below, he uses this simple misdirection when he says, "Would you like to hear about a bad execution or really bad execution?" And this gets a chuckle from people because they're expecting him to offer better alternatives. Another important building block for humor is exaggeration and the absurd. The whole premise of Beefeater Bill's tours, his shtick, if you will, is laughably absurd. Basically that these people have come, they paid good money, and you want a top quality tour guide, and there he is tossing out all the normal customer service sort of things and sort of berating them as if they're new recruits into the army. So that in and of itself is quite funny, and part of, I think, why he's able to pull it off. Another absurd thing that happens on the tour is at one point he starts talking about his marital status and starts joking about how hard it is to find a lady, living here in the Tower of London. I guess he lives on site. And this also gets big laughs from people because normally this is something that's like way out of line for a tour guide to do, but it kind of shows that he's able to laugh at himself and is able to pull it off. Whenever you're making jokes on a tour, you are taking a bit of a risk. So you could play it ultra conservatively, not have any jokes, make sure you don't offend anybody. But in my opinion, this is a risk worth taking. You'll find the jokes that make most people laugh. You'll learn the ones that don't work. You're going to have to upset a few people here and there. But in the end, that's going to be worth it. It's going to make for a much more interesting tour, and you will find humor that fits your style. And so for today's Tweetable, being funny is mostly telling the truth about things by Bernard Salins. So share that Tweetable if you're inspired, or like and share this video. In the comments below, let me know how you are funny on tour. How do you write jokes? Have you found a method that works? And what did you think of Beefeater Bill's funny tour below? Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Okay, you can have a joke about Canadians too. What's the difference between a Canadian and a canoe? A canoe actually tips sometimes. So that's a little shout out to all the tour guides who may have gotten stiffed by Canadians over the years. But honestly, you should really just ask for jokes about Americans, because then at least you'll get a laugh.